Hare Krishna, everybody. This is Krishna Dasa. Welcome you all to today's session of the Bhakti Sutra. And before we start, I will say the quick prayer. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Can we say Guru Brahma?
Sure. Please go ahead.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Para Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So are you all ready? Which sloka did we do last time?
53.
It was about divine love. I remember that.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wala hota na?
Oh, but divine love was na?
That was 54. Good. So today we can start from 55. Tat prāpya. Tadeva valokayati.
Tadeva
Tadeva śṛṇoti. Tadeva bhāṣayati.
Tadeva bhāṣayati.
Tadeva cintayati.
Tadeva cintayati.
Excellent. So let's see what Narad Ji is trying to tell us. So the translation is, when a person attains this supreme love, they see their beloved everywhere. They hear of him everywhere. They talk only of him and they think only of him. Seems very cinematic, right? Like Hindi movies. मुझे सब जगह वही दिखती है, मुझे सब जगह वही दिखते हैं. But anyway, that's what Narad Ji is saying. Divine love. But what he is actually trying to say is, the real tatparya of what Narad Ji is saying here is, it's not at a material or physical level. Narad Ji says that for that person who has attained divine love, the whole world becomes godly. So the world, everything in the world becomes godly for them because they see their God everywhere. So it's a very beautiful state to be in. Now in the Chandogya Upanishad also, there is something similar said. It's a long shloka, so I will not try to recite it. But what that shloka says is, there where you see nothing else, where you hear nothing else you know or feel, that state is called Bhuma, the infinite, the eternal, the immutable Brahman. See, so many attributes are used here. Infinite, eternal, immutable. The term immutable is very important for us in computer science also. So in computer science, when you say something is immutable, basically you are saying once you create it, it can't change. So it's kind of a contract. So if I am creating an interface and you are going to use it, then it's a contract. I cannot change it behind the scenes tomorrow. And you are like, hey, something that worked yesterday is not working today. So that is why that term is very important for us. So here they are using the attribute for Brahman. Brahman is infinite, eternal, and immutable. And the Upanishad also says that a state in which we see other things, like we are all saying we are devoted to God. We are all saying we love God. And sometimes we also think we see God. It could be delusion, it could be devotion, whatever. But we think we see God. But is that all we see? We also see other things. We also hear other things. Correct? So that is kind of seeing, that kind of experience is finite. And that is called as alpam. And that which is infinite and immortal, that is amritam. So when we rise above our limitations of our senses and perceptions and surpass the realm of emotions and thoughts, then we reach a state where only the self is perceived. In the previous shlokas, we described how our abilities to explain our perceptions, they're also limited. We can't even explain sunlight to a blind person. How can we explain the infinite to anybody? So once we rise above these limitations, then only we can perceive the sense. So Narad Ji has tried his best. Narad Ji already said it cannot be described, but he is still trying his best to give us a good idea. And Narad Ji has provided all the required knowledge. He has provided everything that we need to do to reach that stage. But he's giving us some kind of a primer. He's saying this is how it could be, like this is what I can explain. Now, I want to just repeat that the first requirement, any guesses? What is the first requirement to progress on the path of bhakti?
To be consistent.
Consistent.
And then Shraddha.
Shraddha, faith, okay.
Surrender.
Living
Surrender,
ego.
very close. Very close.
Bhava. Your bhava.
Bhava is also close.
Living own ego.
Attachment.
Who was that? Suchita. Yes. That is the thing that comes to our mind the last. That should be the first. Ego and pride. They are like, a big impediment. You have to cross that. As long as they keep troubling you, nothing else is going to work out for us. So especially on the path to bhakti, when we are approaching God, when we are approaching Guru, when we are approaching devotion, then we need to practice that first. Pride and ego. It's not easy. It's very difficult. So that's why Krishna has also repeated this. Narad Ji has also repeated that. And this servant is also repeating that. Now, Sant Tulsidas had once said, Jab lag ahankar taji na jai, tab lag mohi na prabhu prati aayi. As long as one does not renounce ego, ahankar, they cannot truly know or realize the Lord. So many people have said this. Tulsidas has also said this. So the reason why we are repeating it so many times is I introspect myself, even every day when I go to sleep, I try to relive my day. I try to find instances where my actions or my reactions were driven by ego or pride. And then I try to ask myself, how would it have been if my ego was not in the picture, if it was not pride? We may think that if you don't have ego or pride, you become weak. But on the contrary, if you can do deep introspection, you will realize that when ego and pride is not in the picture, that actually gives you true strength. The strength to very calmly address the situation, very calmly focus on just the problem and not focus on those. Somebody may stand in front of you and say, hey, idiot, you will fall down. And you are all worked up. He called me an idiot. But you are missing the whole point. You are standing on the edge of a cliff. Right? So if you are focusing so much on the ego part, you will miss the message. You will fall. Whereas if you can keep that ego aside, you are going to ignore that idiot part. You are going to focus on why is that person feeling that I'm going to fall? Let me see where I'm standing. Is there an issue really at hand? You will calmly analyze the situation. And that gives you strength. That gives you a very unique strength. That's why that is very important. So we have to constantly practice this. This is one of my requests. We have to constantly practice this and constantly evaluate whether our reactions are ego-driven and pride-driven or are they rational. So let's go to the next shloka, shloka 56. Gauni Trida.
Gauti.
Trida.
Buddha.
Guna Bedat.
Guna Veda.
Artadi Bedadva.
Artadi Veda.
What this means is the secondary or preparatory devotion, sadhana bhakti. You all remember sadhana bhakti and siddha bhakti, right? So, the sadhana bhakti is of three kinds according to the mental disposition of the devotee. And what does this mental disposition depend upon? It depends upon which gunas they are active or predominant in you, or according to the reason why they chose to embark upon the path of Bhakti Yoga. So, what is the reason? Let us all go around the table quickly and tell one reason why you are on the path to Bhakti Yoga. What is the reason? Let's start with Sulata ji. She is the first on my screen. Sulata ji, why are you on the path of Bhakti Yoga?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
I'm not at there.
Okay. She thinks she is not on the path of Bhakti Yoga at all. Okay. Chitra ji, what is the reason?
Because he is eternal, so I'm just surrendering myself. I don't have a reason though.
Good. Okay. Simran ji, you have
I'm-
any reason?
yeah.
What reason?
We find that total peace when we are on the path. No reason actually, but we want to be one with him in a way.
Okay.
And as we are progressing, we are seeing that, yeah, we are rising. So
Okay.
that's the reason maybe.
There are no wrong answers. This is just an introspection. Okay.
I'm very
Lakshmi-
happy. I'm
Yeah.
very happy. Internally, I'm happy. Externally, also, I'm happy. In this, well, that's the thing, because I cannot explain this one, but I'm happy. Internally and externally.
Okay.
That's I want to say.
For
Okay.
me, I would say it helps to anchor your mind. I mean, there's so many things that are happening, and there's so much of turbulence around. So this is one place where, it kind of uh, calms yourself, stabilizes
Okay.
my
Calmness.
mind, calms my calmness.
Okay.
It's like a zen actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can tell பாரதியாசன் தீக்குள் விரலை விட்டால் உன்னை தீண்டும் இன்பம் தோன்றுதடா நந்தகாலம். That means when you're putting your hands into the fire also, I can feel the Nandalala. That is the one, no? That is like a Bhakti Yoga. That's
Nice. Nice.
I
Poonam ji, you want to give any reason?
Bhakti Yoga, according to me, like we are totally surrendering to God. Apart from our daily routine, we take out some time and we devote to God. Ultimately, He is the one who is giving us everything. दुख भी वो देता है, सुख भी वो देता है, और हमें He takes out from bhavasagar to us. So we try to devote some time to God in a day. बोलते शुक्राना करो. Shukran means to thank Him.
Okay.
So
Thank
I
him.
want to be on that part, Bhakti Yoga. I
Nice.
want to say thank you to God to give me everything, save me from difficulties. And whatever I'm blessed today is because of Him. So I
Hare
want to be on that part at least for a few minutes in a day. And that is the satsang 3 days to I am with you all.
Very nice. I think these
So
are
that
all
is the
excellent,
Bhakti Yoga for me.
excellent answers. As I said, there is no wrong answer as such, or the right answers. So, do you
one
remember
more
what?
thing I want, Krishna Dadasi. If I'm happy means I can see the happiness in Krishna too. I always know why I'm happy. I'm seeing happiness in Krishna. So I want to be on Bhakti Yoga.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
the one.
Nice.
And also, you had
Yeah,
also said
maybe,
that.
I want to say, Suchita here.
Yeah.
Yes, Suchita ji. Sorry, I didn't see you. So, yeah,
No,
please
no,
go ahead.
it's okay.
Yeah.
No. I think we doesn't have anything to give to God. We are part of Him. Only the bhakti we can do. We can give to God.
Yes. Very strong, powerful statement, right? Because we can.
Part of devotion. Part of
That's the
devotion.
only thing we can ever give God, because
Give to God.
He is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram already. So, out of our own free will, when we choose to love Him, that is the only thing we can give. That's a very powerful reason. Thank you so much. So, do you remember what Krishna had said about why people do bhakti? Does it sound out of syllabus? It was in chapter 16. Shri Krishna said, what did he say? Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna artho jignasur artharthi jnani cha bharatarshaba. So what Krishna had said, oh, best among Bharatas, 4 kinds of people engage in my devotion. Who are those 4 kinds? One, those who are distressed. So they want some relief. So they come to Krishna. One, who are seeking knowledge. So they come to Krishna. So their purpose is that, the reason is that. So they do devotion for that. One want worldly possessions. Give me money, give me wealth, give me house. So they do devotion. They come to Krishna. And then one who are already situated in knowledge. They come to Krishna. So Krishna had given these reasons. So I wanted to make you introspect on those lines, but you gave all beautiful answers. So I can see that none of you are artharthis, which is really so awesome, because you are all elevated souls. You are not here for material. Nobody said, I'm doing devotion because I want a bigger house or I want a promotion, So that's a nice kind of evolution already. See, what Narad Ji said is practice is essential. And he's trying to explain Siddha Bhakti. See, as I said, the only way you can explain sunlight, even to me or to anybody else in the satsang, if somebody asks you explain sunlight, the only way you can explain it is by comparing it to something lesser. Correct? You will say sunlight is 1,000 times brighter than something, or it is hotter than something. How else will you explain sunlight? It's not easy to explain. Just like that, Narad Ji has already said he can't explain Siddha Bhakti. So now he's trying to make an attempt by comparing it with Sadhana Bhakti. So he's saying, okay, if I cannot totally define Siddha Bhakti, I'll tell you what Sadhana Bhakti is, then you will know the difference. That which is not Sadhana Bhakti becomes Siddha Bhakti. And so Narad Ji says, you have to keep practicing, like Deepali Ji said, consistency. Very true. Narad Ji is again saying the same thing. Siddha Bhakti will come when Sadhana Bhakti is practiced consistently. Consistency is a key again. And he says, this is a beautiful statement he says. He says, you have to keep practicing until there is no more practicing possible. What does that mean? What does it mean that practicing is not possible? He has such a beautiful way of putting things. Because he says, once you have achieved Siddha Bhakti, there is no separation. Once you have achieved Siddha Bhakti, there is no small I and there is no big I. There is no separation. If there is no separation, how will you practice devotion to somebody else? I mean, that practice is not possible because you are already merged with God. You are already one with God. So he's saying you have to keep practicing sadhana bhakti until practice is no longer possible. That means at that time you have already reached Siddha Bhakti. Isn't it a beautiful way of putting it? So one of the examples I can give, it's a very crude example, but one of the examples I can give about the practice aspect is, like some of you may have tried playing a musical instrument. Has anybody played a musical instrument here? Does anybody do it? Yes, Simranji, which one do you play?
Harmonium.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
I don't know it well, but I do little.
Nice.
Yeah, me too.
I play dholak.
Wow.
Dholak also I can play. I can play
We are
dholak.
musicians. So one day we should do a kirtan session. We have musicians here. When I was in high school and by the time I was entering college, I used to play guitar and I was a very big fan of guitar. So we had our own small band and a lot of masti and all. But I don't want to distract. The point is, even I can identify with that. Even when playing a guitar, the first time you are learning, there are 6 strings, there are 22 frets, and then there is a way how you hold the guitar, and there is a way how you plug the strings, and so many things you have to pay attention to. That is a practice stage. But to keep practicing, you keep practicing, you keep practicing, there will come a time when you are focusing only on the music. your hands will move by themselves. There will come a time when you don't have to keep looking at the musical instrument to make sure your hand is on the right place or it's in the right position. And you are focusing only on the music. So Narad Ji says, just like that. Initially, when you practice sadhana bhakti, there will be 100 hindrances, 100 distractions. And you will feel, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? And this is not easy. It's not coming to me. I can't focus. I can't sit quietly. Million things will come. But he says, a good indication is when you are closer and closer, going closer to Siddha Bhakti, you will realize that practice only means just thinking of God. Everything else is being taken care of. That is how the practice should evolve. And then Narad Ji says, this sadhana bhakti would also fall into either tamasic, rajasic or sattvic. Does it sound familiar? Sri Krishna had also categorized everything into tamasic, rajasic and sattvic. That's what he's going to say. And you have to first establish sadhana bhakti in satoguna. That should be our first goal. We have to bring it to satoguna because we are all in different levels. Sometimes we are tamasic, sometimes we are rajasic. At sometimes we manage to become sattvic. So Narad Ji is saying, the first focus, as long as we are sadhana bhaktas, the first focus is to establish our bhakti in satoguna. We have to constantly do that. Okay. And then Sri Krishna had said, Tesham jnani nitya yukta eka bhaktir vishishyate priyo hi jnanino tyartam aham sacha mama priya. Among these, among who? The kind of people Krishna explained, who come to him in devotion, I consider them to be the highest who are situated in divine knowledge. And they are steadfastly and exclusively devoted to me. Ananya Bhakti. See, Krishna, whenever he talks about bhakti, he will use the term Ananya Bhakti. But that talks about focus, that talks about consistency. It's all packaged into one word. And Krishna says something very, very beautiful. Krishna says, I am very dear to those people. That is the definition, right, of this kind of people who are, if you are situated in divine knowledge, Krishna is going to be very dear to you. That is what is the definition of divine knowledge. But Krishna completes the sentence and he says, and they are very dear to me. So, such a beautiful state to be in. So, once we understand that worldly happiness is fleeting, it's very difficult, but we have to understand that. Think of any happiness we have had in life. We have all lived so many years of life. Think of any happiness we have had. The first car, the first house, the first marriage, whatever. But you will see that feeling, that euphoria doesn't last forever. See, so it's fleeting. That is how material happiness is. That is how worldly happiness is. And that realization will help us stay focused towards the divine, because we will realize that I already experienced that the million euphoria moments, the million happiness moments I had, okay, they were fun, but none of them lasted. That is the nature of worldly happiness. So I need to now start focusing on the divine happiness, which can last forever. And then Krishna also said in the 17th chapter, so Narad Ji spoke about tamasic, rajasic and sattvic bhakti. Krishna also spoke about that. So 17th chapter, if you remember, Krishna had categorized a lot of different things. So there Krishna had said, those in the mode of goodness, they worship the celestial gods. Those in the mode of passion, rajasic, they worship the yakshas and rakshasas. And those in the mode of tamas, what do? They worship ghosts and spirits. So like attracts like, the good will gravitate towards the good. If you have predominant satoguna, you will gravitate towards sattvic activities and sattvic bhakti. That is how it is. One thing to keep in mind, why is worshipping those spirits called as tamasic? Is basically because, first of all, why do people go and worship spirits? Because the intent is always mostly tamasic. This is what this black magic is also all about. They will do all sort of nonsense, but the intent is always to create damage. Like, jealousy, and all those things. That causes people to do this. That is why that bhakti is very tamasic. Rajasic bhakti means what? It doesn't matter who you are worshipping. But if they say bhakti is rajasic, that means there is a artha arthi. There is a material desire. And that is your main intent for devotion. So it is rajasic. So remember, Krishna had said, if you fall into the trap of, I do this puja and I will get this result, I will do this ritual, then I will get that. Sulata ji, what did Krishna call that?
Yeah, moha kalilam.
Yes. Yes. So that is moha kalilam. And Krishna had warned Arjuna, don't fall into that trap. Whereas if your devotion is sattvic, then you are going to approach sattvic entities with sattvic bhava. That is what it is. And that is sattvic. But if you have to rise above sattvic, that means what? You are above all gunas. And then you are having bhakti towards that entity which is above all gunas. And that should be our definition of Krishna. So we have to evolve from the definition of, somebody with a blue skin, somebody with a bright eye, somebody with long hair. That is all fine. That is all helping us to get into the sattva mode of devotion. But eventually we have to rise above that also. And then we will get that complete abhas of Siddha Bhakti, what it is. It is beyond definition. If you can say God looks blue, then it is not beyond definition. It is bound by some definition. If you say God has long hair, that is still a binding. It is not. But whereas when you say it is beyond all attributes, then you have to experience that. And once you experience that, then that is Siddha Bhakti. That's what he is saying. So all Narad Ji is saying is, like all you devotees have said the same thing, is the intention should be to get his divine grace. That should be our main intention for bhakti. And with that intention, we should consistently practice devotion with humility and purity. Can we go to the next shloka, 57?
Yes.
Uttarasmad.
Uttarasmat.
Uttarasmat.
Tirisma.
Uttarasmat.
Purva Purva.
Purva Purva.
Purva.
Shreyaya Bhavati.
Shreyaya Bhavati.
Which means each successive type of devotion becomes more noble than the preceding. So you draw a scale, you draw a kind of line.
If we left to the previous one,
Which one we left?
the 57, 56 only you are telling about the 3 gunas with a
This is
sadhana
57.
bhakti. And so the next one is Uttara.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Uttarasmat, that is 57. That's what we just covered.
Okay. Okay. Mine is overlapping. Okay, no problem.
Is there a
Okay, I
is
got
there a
No,
Is there
next one is
a difference between the version you have and the version I'm?
the version. Yeah, it's okay. I will just correct it. No problem.
Oh, and what is 58 there?
Because it's in Sanskrit only. I'm just okay. Anya.
Anyasmat, right? Correct.
Yeah.
Anyasmat is 58. So 57 is this only. Uttarasmat, Purva Purva, Shreyayati Bhavate. If you want, I can double check.
Okay, because I will write it.
Let me be 100% sure.
56 झाला ना? We did 56 na?
Yes.
No,
So we just
57
did
now.
57, but looks like
57. Okay. You can say Uttarasmat. I can write it. No problem. Yeah. The other.
yeah, I just confirmed from the original Narada Bhakti Sutra. It is what it is. Uttarasmat. The one we did was the right one. That is 57. So, but thanks for keeping a check. I appreciate that.
You can repeat the meaning again, please.
Yeah, sure. So, it means each successive type of devotee becomes more noble than the preceding. So what Narad Ji is trying to talk about is going from tamasic to rajasic to sattvic. Each successive type is more noble than the previous. It sounds pretty practical. So a sattvic devotee is focused entirely on connecting with God and least interested in worldly attachments. They want pure love of God. That's what they want. Whereas a rajasic devotee, they have expectations, success, wealth, power, all of that. And the tamasic devotee we just discussed, they have ulterior motives, but neither the tamasic nor the rajasic, neither of them have learned the difference between what is eternal and what is temporary. They are running behind temporary, whereas they are supposed to be appreciating the eternal. So they have not yet learned. That is why Narad Ji is saying successively people get more noble. We should absolutely avoid tamasic devotion, huh? By all means. That is not even devotion. It's a misnomer. We can't even call it devotion because it causes harm to yourself. It causes harm to others. It's just a total waste of someone's life. So tamasic, absolute no. But rajasic, we have to keep checking. When are we getting into that mode and keep correcting, course correcting, and get into sattvic. Because as long as, what Narad Ji says is, as long as there are any expectations, it remains rajasic. When you say my devotion is sattvic, that means absolutely no expectations. So it's very hard, but that should be our North Star, where we have to go. Now, Sant Kabir, our favorite, has come again. Sant Kabir has beautifully said, Kabir, sab jag nirdhana, dhanavanta na koi. Dhanavanta so janiye, jape Ram naam dhan hoye. Dhanavanta arthat sahukar. So Kabir ji says, in Hindi he has said very nicely, he says, sahukar to wahi hai, jiske paas Ram naam ki bhakti ka dhan hai. So that is the meaning. The meaning is, entire world is without wealth. There is nobody who is wealthy. The true wealthy is one who is devoted to the name of God, Ram Naam. That is the true wealth. So once you have managed to practice devotion without expectation, what is the next step? So we have managed to, so we are learning how to progress. So tamasic, none of us are interested. Rajasic, we get into that mode sometimes. And we are trying to understand how to go from there to sattvic. So Narad Ji says it's simple. Keep checking. Am I expecting something? Am I expecting something? And when you feel that you are becoming more and more without expectation, that means you are going more and more towards sattva gun, sattva bhakti. So, but then once you are nearing sattva bhakti, then how do you rise above what you need to practice? That is what Narad Ji has beautifully said. Narad Ji has said, then you have to gradually focus on reducing the small I and increasing the big I. That should be the practice that comes next. First practice detachment, then practice no expectation. And then the next step after that is practice reduction of the small I and increasing the big I. In other words, it sounds very fancy, but all it means is you should become more aware of God than of your own self. That is what the saints mean by this. So that is why if you see, some of these very elevated saints, they have no self-awareness. They'll be running around naked and they'll be sitting on ice. They don't feel cold. And it's not like, it's just that their awareness has totally shifted from themselves to God. So they are fully God aware. So that is kind of a very elevated stage to be in. If that makes sense, let's go to Shloka 58. Anyasmat Saulabhyam Bhaktau. Kalpana ji feels very conscious. She says the shloka in her, she whispers. Okay. So this shloka means the path of bhakti is the easiest path to attain God. We have already heard that before. Why is it easy? Now this I want to ask you. We have studied Bhagavad Gita. We have studied 57 shlokas of Bhakti Sutra. Based on all this, what is your opinion? Why do you think bhakti is the easiest path? Yes, Sulata ji, you raised your hand first.
Yeah. There are different types, like, jnana yoga, through which you can reach God.
Yes.
Karma yoga. Sorry, I'm even wrong. Like, and bhakti yoga. So in all these things, like, jnana yoga is intellectualizing God, and karma yoga is like, when you are performing your duty and just trying to do it. But what I feel is, also in jnana yoga, it's like, you are just intellectualizing, in the sense you are there might be you will be vulnerable, that you will be subjected to pride or ego, like, when you have
Okay.
that jnana.
Okay.
So, and in bhakti yoga, one reason is, it is all selfless love which you are
Got it.
focusing on, and there is nothing to be vulnerable about, being no expectation. So it's just the process which you are enjoying, and that itself is the result, as you said. You need
Awesome.
not wait. And also
Awesome.
another aspect is, when you explain nirakara and rather is the formless and
Sakar,
form
yeah.
of God.
Mm.
So I feel in bhakti yoga, since we are involved in this divine love, God is merciful. In nirakara, it is all about, you have to approach God, you have to make an effort and attempt, and know so many things to know God and do that. And there, since it is nirakara also, there are no attributes associated. So mercifulness comes in bhakti, I feel. Like, I'm sorry, I'm combining all.
No. That's fine.
But,
That's fine. It's a good answer. I got it. You're talking about various aspects of it, and you're saying in bhakti you can focus on God's form and you can experience God's mercy, whereas in jnana, if you are only intellectualizing the formless, then there it's difficult. That's very right. Thank you so much, Sulata ji. Deepa ji, you wanted to say something, or I missed it? Somebody had their hands up. Who had their hands? I'm sorry if I missed anybody. If somebody wanted to say, and if I missed, apologies. Yeah, Simran ji, it was your hand. Yes.
Yeah, so in bhakti, we just have to give ourselves to God and then He'll do the rest. That's why it's very easy.
Nice, very, very nice way of putting it.
Yeah, just devote yourself to Him and then He'll look after you. You don't have to worry about anything. That's why it's easiest.
Okay. No, we still have to, you are right. There is just this prerequisites we have to keep in mind, but otherwise, once we take care of the prerequisites, definitely it's God's grace. That's why we say Siddha Bhakti, you cannot get, it has to be given. So God will give you that. Yeah, Lakshmi ji, you wanted to say something?
It's the easiest way to attain, give the eternal, no? That's easiest way. Bhakti yoga is that one. Other yogas means material also involved in that one. No, only by remembering, by listening, by speaking his nama. That's it. So
Yes.
always that's a thing, easiest. No other things no involve doing karma, everything, rituals or everything, that's a previous. But in Kali Yuga, Bhakti Yoga is the easiest way. And then
Yes.
everyone, not only everyone, just if they say Ram, 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 without expecting anything, they can attain.
Yes. Good. This is what Krishna had also said, that in Kali Yuga, Bhakti Yoga is easiest, right? And Sulata ji and Simran ji, thank you. You all shared beautiful points. And if you put all that together, you get the answer. The answer is Bhakti Yoga is easiest because, as Simran ji said, why the other paths are not easy is because they depend on your own capabilities. Like, you cannot be a jnani if you are not strong intellectually. You cannot be a Raja Yogi if your body is not strong and flexible. You have to have a strong mind to be a Karma Yogi. So, in other words, the other yogas, they depend on your capabilities. You are depending on your own self. Whereas in Bhakti Yoga, you are learning to surrender. Your progress in Bhakti Yoga, you are not saying is because of my capability. Your progress in Bhakti Yoga, you are saying it is because of God's grace. I have surrendered. So Simran ji said, that is why Bhakti Yoga is the easiest of all paths. So in Bhagavad Gita also in chapter 6, Krishna had said, Yoginam api sarvesham mad gate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yuktatmo matah. And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga. And he is the highest of all. That's my opinion. So Krishna is saying the Bhakti Yogi is the highest of all the yogis. Krishna's official statement. You know, even Lord Rama had said something similar. But whatever I'm quoting about Lord Rama, I'm quoting from Ramcharitmanas because I find it very poetic and I also find it easier to read as compared to the more difficult Sanskrit. So Lord Rama had said, Kahu bhagati pat kavan prayasa, jog na mak jap tap upavasa, saral subhav na man kutilai, jata labh santosh sadai. Lord Rama says to people of Ayodhya, tell me what effort is there on the path of devotion. And he is saying, there is no need for difficult yoga. There is no need for sacrifice. There is no need for chanting. I will come to that later. Austerity and fasting. Here it is only necessary that one has a simple nature, purity of mind, and always remain content with whatever is received. And then he says, Purusha napusaka nari va jiva charachara koi sarva bhav bhaja kapat taji mohi param priya soi. Whether it is a man, transgender person, woman, anything or any living being, whether moving, not moving, doesn't matter. Whoever worships me with all their heart, without deceit in their minds, they are most dear to me. This is Lord Rama saying. Now, a point to note again is Lord Rama. I mean, some people may point out and say, why is Rama saying chanting is not important and you are saying chanting is important? It's because we have to understand that Lord Rama spoke this during Treta Yuga. That was a different Yuga. So in that Yuga, even japa was not necessary. However, in Kali Yuga, Lord took incarnation. The same Lord Rama, same Lord Krishna, they took incarnation in Kali Yuga as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then they said that in this Yuga, chanting is important. So the Yuga is what makes chanting the most important thing for us now. It was not that important in the Treta Yuga.
Prabhuji, I just had this question. So even though this was a different Yuga, Lord Rama is mentioning about transgender in that era?
Yeah, these transgenders have always been there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it was there in Treta Yuga, it was there in Dwapara Yuga also. That is why, you remember that, I'm trying to
In
remember.
Mahabharata.
No.
Bhim he karto, no?
So you remember, right? I mean, that person, he stands in the chariot. So then Bhishma says, I cannot fight.
I know that's so.
So
was Shikhandi.
Shikhandi. Yes. Thank you. So even in Treta Yuga, Lord Rama had said that Bhakti yogis were dearest to him. And Bhakti was the easiest path. So that is being true even in Treta Yuga. The methods were different, but the intent was the same, right? Now what Narad Ji is also saying is, what should be the correct mindset to develop? The correct mindset should be where we should say, even though I could be in tamasic state currently, it's possible that I'm in a tamasic state. There is an opportunity for me to grow or progress from here to Rajasic and from Rajasic to Sattvic and from Sattvic to beyond all gunas. It is a definite possibility. All I need to do is be consistent in my focus and be consistent in my devotion. And if I do that, it is guaranteed that we will progress. This is a very nice assurance. And very beautiful aspect Narad Ji has said in the Bhakti Sutra. What he has said is, once you start experiencing the love of God, even in a small, tiny amount, maybe you experience just a very little today. Narad Ji says that itself will intensify your devotion more. And it's like a cycle, feedback loop. You experience even a little bit of God's love, your devotion will intensify. And once your devotion intensifies, you will experience more of that love of God. And it will keep growing that way. You just stay consistent, don't give up. That's the beautiful, beautiful message. Narad Ji says that this will culminate, this cycle, if you stay consistent, Narad Ji says that will culminate in the vision of God. Vision of God. You will see God, right? And that, he says, is still a lower form of samadhi. He says, because in the highest form of samadhi, how can you see yourself? I mean, in the highest form of samadhi, you are already united with God. So he says, the lower form of samadhi is when you see God, and the higher form of samadhi, there is nothing to see. You are already God. You are merged with God. Beautiful, beautiful. So we are on time. Maybe I'll take the next shloka next week. Okay, I think the next one we can take next week. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna, everybody. Really appreciate your support. And as always, grateful for your association. I'll open the floors. Anything you want to ask? Anything else?